my late teens, I went one day to a monastery. I won't tell you which monastery it was, but I went with my mother and father and with a schoolmate and his mother. So we went there and we went around the monastery grounds, and we wanted to visit with one of the monks in particular. And then we were checked in for the lunch. And so there were a number of other visitors, and we were all around the table. We didn't know one another. And let's put it this way, the monk who cooked the dinner that day, we might say he had a bad hair day or something like that, but the food was really, really terrible. And we were, about 12 or so at this table, and just trying to work our way through tough meat and watery vegetables and everything. It was really bad. And the mother of my schoolmate, she's a lovely woman, and very positive and sweet. And so we were silent around the table, struggling with the food. And then she said, "Isn't the water lovely?" It was the only thing she could find positive in the meal. And what happened then was there was an explosion of laughter around the table, because we were all thinking, this is terrible. And then, realizing that was the only thing she could find to laugh or to compliment. And I've been thinking back over that. I've often thought of that day, and it teaches me some lessons, and I need to remember them. Like, one thing you'd have to say was that she sought out something to be grateful for, and that's a very good practice in our lives. Not to pretend that there isn't difficulty, but to look out for what is there to be grateful for today. And it may be the fact that we don't have the same aches and pains as we had the day before, or it could be that the sun is shining, or at least it's shining for some of the day. But just to be on the alert, be on the lookout for something positive. And then the second piece of it was the gift of humour. And there are lots of very funny things, There are lots of funny things in our daily life. Like the other day, we were at Divine Office saying community prayer, and I noticed one of the community members, he was a bit distracted, and so he stood up before it was time for us to stand up, although two members were due to stand up and say a particular prayer. And I was watching him, and he's elderly, and I could see that he was about to sit back down again, and then obviously decided, well, seeing that I've gotten up this far, I better stay here rather than, use all that effort sitting back down again and then getting back up again in a few seconds. So, you see so many things like that every day. And it's great to be able to laugh and to enjoy and to be amused, at our foibles, at the things we forget and mess up, and to not take ourselves or life that terribly seriously. And the third thing is that, there will be pain, there will be struggle. It's difficult in lockdown, it's very difficult for so many around the coronavirus and all kinds of other things in our lives. But I suppose that experience that day in the monastery teaches me, not to, that woman, in looking at the positive, not to be dazzled by the pain, not to be, only focused on the struggle. Yeah, it can be very tough, but not to let that dominate everything. I hope that experience is of help to you as you imagine it, and as you join us around that table in that monastery with that lovely water. God bless.